On January 31, 2025, John Harold Rogers, a former senior advisor for the Federal Reserve Board of Governors, was indicted for allegedly engaging in economic espionage. The indictment issued by the Justice Department claims that Rogers conspired to steal sensitive trade secrets and confidential economic information to benefit the People's Republic of China (PRC). This marks a significant breach of trust in one of the United States' most critical financial institutions. Background and allegations. Rogers, a 63-year-old resident of Vienna, Virginia, served at the Federal Reserve from 2010 until 2021. During his tenure, he had access to confidential materials including briefing documents for Federal Reserve governors and deliberations of the Federal Open Market Committee (FOMC). The indictment outlines a conspiracy that reportedly began in 2018, during which Rogers allegedly shared proprietary economic data with co-conspirators who posed as graduate students at a Chinese university but were in fact intelligence officers for the Chinese government. The Justice Department's press release emphasized the seriousness of Rogers' actions, which were seen as a direct threat to U.S. national security. Devin DeBacker, head of the Justice Department's National Security Division, stated, "As alleged, the defendant violated the trust placed in him by the Federal Reserve Bank by putting U.S. trade secrets in the hands of his PRC co-conspirators." The data shared by Rogers could potentially allow China to manipulate U.S. markets akin to insider trading, giving the nation a strategic advantage. Methods of espionage. According to the indictment, Rogers communicated sensitive information through personal email and met with his co-conspirators in hotel rooms in China under the pretense of teaching classes. The materials he provided allegedly included sensitive economic forecasts and information about tariffs affecting China, which could have significant implications for global trade dynamics. In 2023, Rogers reportedly earned approximately $450,000 as a part-time professor at a Chinese institution, which raises further questions about the nature of his relationship with these co-conspirators. It has been asserted that he may have exploited his academic role to facilitate these exchanges of information. Legal proceedings and charges. Following the indictment, Rogers was arrested and made his initial appearance in a federal court in Washington, D.C. He has been charged with conspiracy to commit economic espionage and making false statements to federal investigators. The latter charge stems from allegations that Rogers lied during an inquiry by the Federal Reserve's Office of Inspector General in February 2020 when confronted about his activities. The legal implications of this case are severe, as federal prosecutors have indicated that the actions of Rogers not only jeopardized national security but also represented a betrayal of the public trust. U.S. Attorney Edward R. Martin Jr. remarked, "Let this indictment serve as a warning to all who seek to betray or exploit the United States. Law enforcement will find you and hold you accountable." Implications for national security. Rogers' case has raised alarm bells regarding the integrity of the Federal Reserve and the broader implications for U.S. economic security. Officials from the FBI and other agencies have condemned his actions, suggesting that they reflect a larger pattern of economic espionage efforts by the Chinese Communist Party aimed at undermining U.S. financial policies. David Sundberg, assistant director in charge of the FBI Washington field office, stated, "The Chinese Communist Party has expanded its economic espionage campaign to target U.S. government financial policies and trade secrets in an effort to undermine the United States and become the sole superpower. This narrative underscores the ongoing threat posed by foreign adversaries seeking to exploit vulnerabilities within U.S. institutions." Summary of events. 2010 to 2021, Rogers serves as a senior advisor at the Federal Reserve. 2018, allegedly begins sharing sensitive information with Chinese intelligence officers. 2023, receives a substantial salary for part-time teaching in China. February 4, 2020, allegedly lies to federal investigators about his activities. January 31, 2025, indicted and arrested on charges of economic espionage. Conclusion. The indictment of John Harold Rogers serves as a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities that exist within critical U.S. institutions. This case not only highlights the risks associated with economic espionage but also emphasizes the need for vigilance in protecting sensitive information. As the investigation unfolds, it will be crucial to monitor the implications of this case for national security and the integrity of U.S. economic policies. The actions of individuals in positions of trust can have far-reaching consequences, and this indictment sends a clear message regarding the accountability that will be enforced against those who compromise national interests for personal gain. The case of John Harold Rogers, a former senior advisor for the Federal Reserve, presents several counterintuitive elements regarding economic espionage and the integrity of high-ranking U.S. financial officials. Here are some insights that challenge conventional understandings of such incidents. 1. High-level betrayal. One might typically think that individuals in esteemed positions such as a senior advisor at the Federal Reserve would have a strong commitment to the integrity of U.S. economic policy and national security. Rogers's actions illustrate that individuals in such positions can exploit their roles for personal gain, betraying their country for substantial financial compensation, specifically the reported $450,000 from a Chinese university. 2. Access to sensitive information. The assumption often is that access to sensitive trade secrets is tightly controlled and monitored. However, Rogers leveraged his position to access and share critical information such as Federal Open Market Committee (FOMC) deliberations and economic data, indicating that there may be gaps in oversight regarding how confidential information is handled and shared within key financial institutions. 3. Use of deception. The case raises questions about the effectiveness of background checks and monitoring. Rogers communicated sensitive information under the guise of teaching, which highlights an unexpected use of academic roles as a cover for espionage activities. This suggests that individuals may exploit seemingly legitimate roles to mask illicit activities, a tactic that may not be adequately anticipated by security protocols. For long-term espionage, while one might expect espionage activities to be short-lived or opportunistic, Rogers's alleged conspiracy spanned several years from 2018 until his indictment in 2025. This long-term engagement with foreign intelligence operatives contradicts the notion that espionage is typically a reaction to immediate opportunities, instead revealing a premeditated and sustained effort to undermine U.S. economic interests. 5. False statements. The indictment includes charges of making false statements to the Federal Reserve's Office of Inspector General. This aspect of the case emphasizes the idea that individuals who engage in espionage may not only be involved in the act of stealing information but may also actively attempt to mislead investigators. This duality suggests that the threat of espionage is compounded by the complexity of deceit that often accompanies it, complicating the detection and prevention of such activities. 6. Economic espionage's implications. The notion that economic espionage primarily serves military or geopolitical interests is common. However, the details of this case reveal that access to U.S. economic policy could enable foreign adversaries to manipulate financial markets akin to insider trading. This highlights the broader implications of economic espionage beyond immediate national security concerns, extending into the realms of global finance and economic stability. 7. Perception of foreign relations. The indictment and the surrounding narrative might lead one to assume that the relationship between the U.S. and China is uniformly adversarial. However, the case illustrates the complexities of international relations where individuals might engage in espionage despite the official diplomatic channels, indicating a persistent undercurrent of rivalry that exists alongside formal economic engagements and collaborations. 8. Moral and ethical obligations. The case challenges the perception that individuals with advanced degrees and high-level positions have a stronger moral compass or ethical obligations. Rogers's actions reveal that personal gain can supersede professional ethics, complicating the narrative surrounding the integrity of highly educated individuals in public service roles. 9. Implications for policy and security. The incident prompts a reassessment of the adequacy of current security measures. both within the Federal Reserve and across similar institutions. It suggests the need for enhanced scrutiny and potentially more robust policies to prevent individuals in positions of trust from engaging in activities that could jeopardize national security. In summary, the indictment of John Harold Rogers serves as a stark reminder that trust in high-ranking officials can be misplaced and the mechanisms designed to protect sensitive information may require re-evaluation in light of evolving threats posed by foreign adversaries. The revelations from this case underscore the necessity for vigilance and proactive measures in safeguarding national economic interests from espionage activities. The indictment of John Harold Rogers, a former senior advisor for the Federal Reserve, highlights several critical aspects of economic espionage that may be overlooked by the general public. While the mainstream media coverage focuses on the scandal itself and the implications for national security, there are nuanced elements within the report that underscore the broader implications for U.S. economic integrity, the cybersecurity landscape, and the interplay of academic and governmental roles. Significant elements often overlooked. 1. The role of academic institutions in espionage. Rogers's position as a part-time professor at a Chinese university is particularly significant. This dual role allowed him to establish a facade of legitimacy for his interactions with Chinese intelligence officers who posed as students. The academic context in which sensitive information was shared raises crucial questions about the vulnerability of U.S. educational institutions to foreign influence and espionage. Significance: this highlights how educational frameworks can be exploited for intelligence gathering. It suggests a need for stricter regulations and monitoring of academic collaborations, especially those involving sensitive topics related to national security and economic policy. 2. Insider threats within critical institutions. The case illustrates a profound risk inherent in having individuals with access to sensitive government information. Rogers's actions underscore the potential for insider threats where employees in critical positions can exploit their access for personal gain or ideological reasons. Significance: this serves as a wake-up call for the Federal Reserve and other critical institutions to enhance their internal security protocols, including more rigorous vetting processes for employees and ongoing assessments of their activities and associations. 3. Economic manipulation through espionage. The indictment points to the potential for the shared information to be used for market manipulation akin to insider trading. The ability for adversaries to gain insights into U.S. economic strategies could allow them to act preemptively in financial markets, potentially destabilizing the U.S. economy. Significance: this aspect emphasizes the interconnectedness of national security and financial systems. It raises awareness about how economic espionage can have real-world consequences on market stability, impacting investors, businesses, and the general public. 4. False statements and accountability. Rogers allegedly made false statements to the Federal Reserve's Office of Inspector General, which complicates the narrative of espionage. It raises questions about the integrity of investigations into such serious claims and the mechanisms in place to ensure accountability. Significance: this underlines the importance of transparency and accountability in governmental investigations. It highlights the necessity for robust whistleblower protections and clear pathways for reporting suspicious activities without fear of reprisal. 5. Cybersecurity implications. Rogers's use of personal email to transmit sensitive information indicates a potential breach of cybersecurity protocols. This misuse of technology in the sharing of classified information poses a risk not just from espionage but also from hacking and data breaches. Significance: the case underscores the need for stringent cybersecurity measures in government agencies, including training for employees on the risks associated with using personal devices and accounts for work-related communications. 6. The broader context of U.S.-China relations. This indictment emerges against the backdrop of rising tensions between the U.S. and China, particularly regarding trade and technology. The actions of Rogers can be viewed as part of a larger pattern of economic aggression from China, which has been accused of orchestrating campaigns to acquire sensitive U.S. intellectual property and trade secrets. Significance: understanding the geopolitical context is crucial for policymakers and the public. It calls for a re-evaluation of U.S. strategies to counteract foreign influence and protect economic interests, including better enforcement of laws against economic espionage. 7. Implications for the Federal Reserve's reputation. The Federal Reserve, as a cornerstone of U.S. economic stability, could suffer reputational damage as a result of this espionage case. Public trust in the institution may wane if individuals believe that sensitive information is not adequately protected. Significance: the integrity of financial institutions is paramount for economic confidence. This incident could prompt demands for more transparent security practices and greater public engagement in safeguarding national interests. Conclusion: the indictment of John Harold Rogers serves as a critical reminder of the vulnerabilities within U.S. institutions, particularly regarding insider threats and the intersection of academia and espionage. It underscores the importance of strengthening security measures, enhancing accountability, and fostering a comprehensive understanding of how economic espionage can affect national security and economic integrity. As the public and policymakers digest the implications of this case, it is essential to consider these often overlooked elements, which are vital for reinforcing the foundations of trust and security in the U.S. economic system. 1. Nature of economic espionage. The indictment of John Harold Rogers highlights the serious implications of economic espionage involving sensitive trade secrets from a crucial U.S. institution. Rogers allegedly conspired with Chinese intelligence officers to share confidential information, which included proprietary economic data and Federal Open Market Committee (FOMC) deliberations. This breach not only undermines the integrity of the Federal Reserve but also poses a significant threat to U.S. economic security. The nature of the information involved suggests that it could allow foreign adversaries to manipulate U.S. markets, akin to insider trading, thereby raising concerns about the potential for foreign influence in domestic economic policy. 2. Exploitation of trust and position. Rogers's actions serve as a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities within high-level government agencies, particularly those handling sensitive economic data. His role as a senior advisor for the Federal Reserve from 2010 to 2021 placed him in a position of significant trust, which he allegedly violated for personal gain. The case underscores the importance of maintaining strict ethical standards and oversight within such institutions. The exploitation of his position not only jeopardizes national security but also erodes public trust in governmental financial institutions, which are essential for maintaining economic stability. 3. Legal and ethical consequences. The charges against Rogers, including conspiracy to commit economic espionage and making false statements, highlight the legal ramifications of such actions. The indictment serves as a warning to others in positions of authority about the consequences of betraying obligations for personal gain. The federal response, including statements from the Justice Department and FBI, emphasizes the seriousness with which these allegations are treated. This case could set a precedent for how similar cases are handled in the future, reinforcing the commitment to protect national security interests against economic espionage. 4. Impact on U.S.-China relations. The indictment of a former Federal Reserve official for allegedly collaborating with Chinese intelligence reflects broader tensions in U.S.-China relations, particularly concerning economic competition and national security. The ongoing threat of economic espionage from foreign adversaries, especially from China, has raised alarms about the need for enhanced security measures and scrutiny of individuals in sensitive positions. This incident may further complicate diplomatic relations and discussions on trade policies, as it brings to light the challenges posed by espionage activities that seek to undermine U.S. economic power and influence. 1. Robert Hanssen Case 2001. Robert Hanssen, an FBI agent, was arrested for spying for Russia over a period of 22 years. He provided the Russian government with classified information including details about U.S. spies and intelligence operations. Hansen's actions compromised national security and led to the exposure of several agents. He was indicted on multiple counts of espionage and ultimately pled guilty, receiving a life sentence without parole. This case highlighted the vulnerabilities within U.S. intelligence agencies and the potential for betrayal from within. 2. Kirkweeb and the NSA. 2009, Kirkweeb, a former senior analyst for the National Security Agency NSA, was involved in a case concerning the unauthorized disclosure of classified information. Weeb, along with 2 others, was accused of leaking sensitive information about the NSA's warrantless wiretap program to the media. The case raised significant concerns over the security of national intelligence and the potential for insiders to expose sensitive operations. Weeb defended his actions by claiming he was revealing government wrongdoing, but the case emphasized the risks associated with insider threats to national security. 3. Chen Jian. 2006, Chen Jian, a former engineer at the United States Department of Energy, was convicted of economic espionage after he was found guilty of stealing trade secrets related to the design of nuclear reactors. Chen attempted to pass this information to the Chinese government, which could have enabled them to advance their nuclear technology capabilities. His actions were considered a serious breach of trust and posed a potential threat to U.S. national security. This case underscored the critical importance of safeguarding sensitive technological information and the risks posed by espionage in the context of international relations. The indictment of John Harold Rogers, a former senior advisor for the Federal Reserve, on charges of economic espionage for allegedly sharing sensitive trade secrets with Chinese intelligence officials, presents significant implications for the future of U.S. economic security. This incident raises critical questions about the integrity of U.S. financial institutions and the ongoing threats posed by foreign adversaries. Here are several predictions and considerations regarding the future outlook in light of this case. 1. Increased scrutiny on federal employees. In the aftermath of the Rogers indictment, we can expect heightened scrutiny of employees within sensitive governmental and financial institutions. The Federal Reserve and other agencies may implement more stringent background checks and monitoring processes to prevent similar breaches. This could include regular audits of communications and financial disclosures, as well as mandatory training on the risks of espionage and the importance of safeguarding confidential information. 2. Strengthening of cybersecurity measures. As economic espionage becomes increasingly sophisticated, financial institutions will likely bolster their cybersecurity protocols. This could involve investing in advanced technologies such as artificial intelligence and machine learning to detect unusual patterns of access to sensitive information. Additionally, organizations may adopt zero-trust security models, ensuring that even internal access to sensitive data is tightly controlled and monitored. 3. Legislative and policy changes. The Rogers case may prompt lawmakers to consider new legislation aimed at protecting trade secrets and sensitive economic information. This could include stricter penalties for economic espionage, enhanced support for whistleblower protections, and increased funding for counterintelligence operations. Policymakers may also explore international collaborations to combat economic espionage, particularly with allies who face similar threats. 4. Reassessing U.S.-China relations. The indictment highlights ongoing tensions between the U.S. and China, particularly in the realm of economic competition and espionage. Future diplomatic discussions may increasingly focus on establishing norms and agreements to prevent economic espionage. However, given the complexity of U.S.-China relations, it is likely that such efforts will encounter considerable challenges, especially in light of national security concerns. 5. Impact on academic collaborations. Rogers' alleged activities raise questions about the integrity of collaborations between U.S. academic institutions and Chinese universities. In the future, universities may need to reassess their partnerships and implement stricter guidelines to prevent potential exploitation of academic exchanges. This could lead to a reduction in joint research initiatives and an increased emphasis on safeguarding proprietary information. 6. Enhanced public awareness and involvement. As cases of economic espionage gain media attention, public awareness of the risks associated with insider threats is likely to increase. This may lead to greater involvement from the private sector and civil society in advocating for better protective measures and transparency in government dealings. Public sentiment could pressure institutions to adopt best practices for safeguarding sensitive information. 7. Shift in intelligence gathering strategies. The methods employed by foreign intelligence agencies to recruit insiders may evolve in response to cases like Rogers's. Economic espionage strategies may become more sophisticated, leveraging social engineering and psychological tactics to exploit vulnerabilities in individuals. Agencies will need to adapt their counterintelligence strategies to address these evolving threats. 8. Potential for more indictments. The Rogers case may serve as a catalyst for further investigations into similar activities within government and financial sectors. It is plausible that additional indictments could emerge as law enforcement agencies such as the FBI and the Office of Inspector General deepen their investigations into potential economic espionage cases. This could lead to broader scrutiny of individuals with access to sensitive economic data. Conclusion. The indictment of John Harold Rogers underscores the vulnerabilities within U.S. financial institutions and the persistent threat of economic espionage. Moving forward, we can anticipate significant changes in policy practice and public awareness aimed at safeguarding national economic interests. As the landscape of international relations continues to evolve, the U.S. will need to remain vigilant and proactive in protecting its economic security against foreign adversaries. The fallout from this case could serve as a pivotal moment in shaping the future of U.S. counterintelligence and economic policy strategies.